This is the Sri Ramana Maharshi Satsang, a time to listen, reflect, and deeply meditate. Know yourself and be always free and at peace. Welcome. I'm Richard Clarke, hosting this satsang. I'm not a teacher or a guru, but someone like you who loves this teaching and wants to share it with like minded people. I'm reviewing and commenting on the book Talks with Ramana Maharshi, and this is from Talk 41. The devotee asks, "Are there heaven and hell?" And Ramana responds, "There must be someone to go there. They are like dreams. We see time and space exist in dream also. Which is true, dream or wakefulness?" He continues, and the disciple asks, "So we must rid ourselves of lust and anger, etc.?" And Ramana replies, "Give up thoughts. You need not give up anything else. You must be there to see anything. It is the self. Self is ever conscious." Then the disciple asks, "What effort is necessary for reaching the self?" And Ramana says, "I should be destroyed. Self is not to be reached. Is there any moment when self is not? It is not new. Be as you are. What is new cannot be permanent. What is real must always exist." And the devotee asks, "You have gained this state by great effort. What shall we poor souls do?" And Ramana says, "We are in ourself. We are not in the world." And the devotee asks, "The Gita says, if a man fixes his attention between the eyebrows and holds his breath, he reaches the supreme state. How is that done?" And Ramana says, "You are always in the self, and there is no reaching it. The eyebrow is only a place where attention is to be fixed, the seat of meditation." So the disciple asks, "Are there heaven and hell?" And Ramana says, "There must be someone to go there. They're like dreams. We see time and space exist in dream also, which is true, dream or wakefulness." Ramana takes the discussion away from externals like heaven and hell to reality, to what actually exists. He says there must be someone to go there. Don't question externals like heaven and hell. Look to your core. Look to the self. Look into the being and consciousness that you are. Who is this someone to which Ramana refers? Start your investigation from the stand as the self, and then what do you see? This is an immediate and powerful reframing of the question, changing the context from the objective to the non-objective. Then Ramana goes on to say, they are like dreams. And this is true for all time and space, too. These are all like dreams, coming into awareness, playing out, and then going away, while the consciousness is unmoved, untouched, and unchanged by it all. Then Ramana takes us to the fundamental question of what is real. He asks, which is true, dream, or wakefulness? To answer this, you need to know what is real. Advaita teaches that what is real is what is always true. What is real is what is always real. What is true within both dream and wakefulness? All the experiences are different. The place, the story, the people, all are different. What is the same is the knowing and the reality of existence. So, what is real in both dream and waking? What is true always? The devotee then asks about behaviors. Should we rid ourselves of bad behavior like lust and anger? And the Maharshi replies, give up thoughts. You need not give up anything else. You must be there to see anything. It is the self. The self is ever conscious. Ramana directs the question to what underlies the behavior like lust and anger, what underlies all behaviors, which is thought. If you want to give up something, cut the root, which is thought. This way, you cut off everything that grows from the root. Stop thought, and you stop the thoughts of what you desire, what you fear, and what angers you. Thoughts of this and that. And Ramana doesn't stop there. He returns to the self and says, you must be there to see anything. The thoughts do not just come, they come to you. Even more interior than thought is the awareness of thought. Even more interior than the awareness of thought is awareness itself, pure awareness. Awareness is needed before anything can be seen. Ramana says it is the self. Self is ever conscious. Usually we know this awareness by our awareness of objects in awareness. The awareness is there, but not noticed, since it appears as these objects. If you look around in what you are aware of this moment, you'll see objects everywhere, and you won't be able to find this awareness anywhere. So you can't see it, but it's there, and you know that it's there. There is also awareness without an object. This is the highest stage of meditation, just awareness, shining as itself. Nothing else is needed. Nothing else is there. Just being, shining as itself. The next set of dialogues is about practice. The devotee asks, what effort is necessary for reaching the self? And Ramana responds, I should be destroyed. Self is not to be reached. The self is already there. Self-realization is not a matter of adding or gaining or reaching something else. Instead, it's a matter of removing the wrong ideas, the ignorance where you hold to the sense of being an individual as if it were what is real and who you are. In the progression of practice, the first part is quieting your mind. When your mind is quiet, you're able to examine your experience without the mental conditioning and habits. You know at a deeper level than you ever could by thinking about it with the mind. Knowing and being merge and are the same thing. The devotee then asks, you have gained this state by great effort. What shall we poor souls do? And Ramana responds, we are in ourself. We're not in the world. The devotee talks about gaining some state. Ramana says, there's nothing to gain. This is who we are, always. It's not something new to be gained or lost. You know the world. The world is in you, not the other way around. Then Ramana says, is there any moment when the self is not? It is not new. Be as you are. What is new cannot be permanent. What is real must always exist. If you gain it, you will lose it. If it comes, it goes. What is always real. It's not new. There are not times when it is and times when it is not. It is here, now. Always is always. Always is what you are. Who am I? I am this that is always. Now we'll listen to my teacher Nome with a discourse. The self alone is within you and without you.
The one self alone exists eternally. Thus Sri Bhagavan declared the supreme truth, the reality as it is. the same that he reveals in eloquent silence. Consider deeply its significance. If it is one self, then it must necessarily be bodiless. For if it were embodied, it would be a multiplicity. If you are not the body, what are you? If you are not the body, activity, inactivity, and bodily attributes and states do not pertain to you. What then are you? The one self alone exists, he says. It exists. It is existence. Bodiless, birthless, imperishable, undivided, undifferentiated existence. And this is eternally so. It is to be realized within. Within signifies non-objective vision. It is within you, yet it is without you in the sense of being devoid of an embodied individuality. That which actually exists always. That which does not exist always does not actually exist at all. What is it that exists eternally? The eternal abides as the eternal. The transitory cannot possibly do so. The reality comprehends itself, for it exists. It is existence. The unreality, being utterly non-existent, cannot possibly do so. So when we are told to look within what? It is not meant that the self is contained within another self. If there is the idea of another self, yourself in addition to the one self that alone exists eternally, find out, who am I? If there is an I, there will also be a this, an individual and an objectified sphere of experience, regarded as an external world. Is there an I? Who has ever seen the I? If it is assumed to exist, to be one's identity, for whom is this assumption? Like this, one should profoundly inquire, and thus identify entirely with that one self which alone exists eternally. Is there any thought that is eternal? Then none of them can be you. Is there any such thing as a non-objective thought? Then none of them can be you. The very idea that a thought exists, for whom is such a supposition? Duality or differentiation is a product of imagination. What is the source of imagination? If you deeply inquire to know yourself, you will find the source of imagination, the seed from which it springs, to be missing. The one self alone exists eternally. If this is known, you yourself are that which is known. And in this is found blissful immortality.
And now we will take a few minutes to meditate, to inquire. Notice that you exist, and you know that you exist. Now inquire, investigate within yourself. What do you take yourself to be? Now, just notice your being. This being is always there. Just notice. And notice your existence. You exist and you know that you exist. Just notice this existence. Now notice your consciousness. Your consciousness shines by its own light. It knows itself. Who am I? What is the nature of my existence? All right. Let's close with a short chant. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Any comments, questions? You're muted, Evelyn.
What struck me is the word within, and that can be an entangling word, because coming from the culture that I've come from, peace within, kingdom of heaven is within, and this is still hanging on to the idea that it's within this sort of body thing.
Right, right.
So it's a mischievous kind of word.
Exactly.
And
Yes,
and what's helped me is to dwell on the notion that the world is within me. So there
right.
is no within and without.
Mm.
And that's how I kind of broke the spell of that.
Yes. The other thing about within is certainly what Nome is referring to is what he calls the non-objective.
Yes, I really liked that when he said that.
Yes. And so within is not anything that we think about,
Right. Yes.
but it's there
Clearly. Yeah.
and we know it always. If we know, stop and look.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing earlier when Ramana said, just give up all thoughts. I see another cultural piece of training is, certain thoughts are really bad and you should not be having them. And to finally stop going down that trail was really helpful. Like, there's no bad thoughts or good thoughts. They're just, don't mess with any of them.
Mm.
Right.
So that
Certainly,
was,
I like the metaphor of thoughts are just like the clouds in the sky.
yes.
They
But
come and they go.
when you have a good Episcopalian upbringing, there are naughty thoughts and nice thoughts.
Uh-huh. That's
And
right.
as I've said before, unbrainwashing is what seems to be the work that I do.
Yes. I think that showed up. There was some picture of Ramana and his devotees, and the legend was the center for unrealizing the unreal.
Yeah. And doesn't come all of a sudden for me. But
I I don't know anyone that it has. I guess Nomi had this Nirvikalpa Samadhi when he was in his middle teens, and
yeah,
so you know he started his practice at the very highest to begin with. The rest of us, though, have had to slog through this stuff.
well, I imagine both he and Ramana had some lifetimes of slogging
Yes, it seems like
so
it.
that they could have arrived at this lifetime where it's like, okay, a lot of work's been done.
Mm.
Yes,
So there's hope for
yes,
all of us sloggers.
yes. Anyway, good to see you, and
Yeah, thank you so much, both of you.
well, it's so good that we're able to get together and do things
Yeah,
like this.